Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Tuesday, August 3rd, 3 p.m. School Board Workshop meeting to order. At this time, would you please rise for a moment of silence? Pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have... Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Please be seated. All right, we're going to go to roll call.
Will Furry present.
Christy Chong present.
Sally Hunt.
Colin Conklin present.
Cheryl Massaro.
LaShaka Moore.
All right, we're going down. We have any legislative updates that you have by any chance there, Ms. Conklin?
Just that we're, right now, Florida School Board Association is working on their deregulation submissions, so that work will continue, and I suppose within the next month or so, we should begin to plan for our legislative platform.
Yeah, and for the public, could you explain what the deregulation is?
Yep. So we have been asked, DOE has, they've actually put forth legislation to allow for school districts to submit recommendations for deregulation. And so it's a great opportunity for school districts across the state to submit to DOE recommendations for different statutes to be repealed and pulled back.
So that's good news. Okay, so we're going to go down to, we'll skip the special announcements because that is for our next meeting. Spotlights, we will have a number of those spotlights, which we will take care of that time, and approval of minutes. Are there any adoptions of agenda changes?
I do not have any.
You do not have any, okay. So we're going off of 5. We're at public comment. Public comment.
There are no public comment.
There are no public comments down here. Going on to number 7, resources, supports, and consents. We'll start. Ask Ms. Patty. Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Board members, and Superintendent Moore. We are here to present resources and support 7.01 through 7.05. As you know, we will not have the charter school or the district financials here as the month would have been for June. And as we're still closing the books, that will be presented as the annual financial report in September.
All right, Board, do we have questions on 7.01?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Coughlin I saw first. So.
Just Colleen, it's okay.
Okay.
Patty, for the maintenance and utilities for the GSB, for
Yes.
the Board of County Commissioners, Can that not come out of capital money? Does it have to come out of general fund?
The maintenance portion of it, the capital is transferred back in as part of our maintenance transfer at year end. So the $100,000 will, but the others, let me start over. The first one, Object 0320, that's insurance. That is covered by capital dollars at the end of the year. So we have to put it all in the general fund. We transfer it from capital at the end. The second and third one is water and sewer and utilities. Those have to be general fund. The last one is the maintenance, and that is covered by
Okay, so
capital
those
funds.
two smaller pieces will
Yeah, the
transfer.
75,000 and the 100.
Okay. Something.
Okay. Mr. Farber?
Yeah, I had some questions in regards to the school power. I was trying to find it here. Power School Group LLC software.
Sure, I'm gonna ask Mr. Freeman to come up to talk about those.
I think there's two different ones here. One for 21,000 and another for, I think in the 40s. If I can find it here.
Yeah, I believe there's currently two POs with Power School. One is for Performance Matters, which is our like assessment platform and reporting. It includes like data dashboards for teachers, administration at schools, and then data dashboards to be able to monitor district-wide student performance. So it's kind of like all of the data from all the different places, from Department of Education, from like iReady, local assessment information out of like Gradebook, all gets dumped in there. Attendance information, all that, to kind of give a profile picture of what a student looks like. So teachers kind of have that dashboard. It's populated, it has all of their data in one place to look at.
Is this a new software we're implementing, or have we been using this already?
I believe it's over 10 years that we've
Yeah,
been
it's
utilizing.
Okay, so that's something that we've been using. Okay.
It used to be another, Performance Matters used to be Performance Matters, the company. The company was acquired by Power School. So I don't know if you've seen, but Power School has really been buying a lot of additional software companies and kind of incorporating it into their marketplace, so to speak.
And have we been happy with the results that we're getting out of it, the efficiencies or the reporting?
We've been heavily engaged with them over the course of the last 3 years, really. They also purchased Schoology, which is our LMS. They also purchased the Unified Talent, which is really our ERO. So that's also our program that we had previously been using for 10 plus years to monitor staff development. So it gives us kind of the opportunity to have a location to track all of the points for teachers so that we can help with certification renewal. And then also in the last couple of years, we've unloaded all of our staff. So this gives us ability to track what trainings that folks have had. One of the things that's nice about all of this, so to speak, is we do have a few different applications that are through Power School, and they've now developed the integration piece. So every year, normally we're building all of these data sets and data reports to move from system to system. And now, because of this, they've incorporated that into their own workflow and process. So it's not like an additional resource that needs to be able to put. So that I would say that's the positive of it. Like anything else, the negative side to that is that there becomes less competition to some extent. But we've been pretty well. We had a team that actually attended the Power School Edge conference, so their national conference was in Orlando, Florida this year. And we had some conversations with them. They were able to give us licensing or not licensing, access to the conference for free. So that was a nice piece, and we had some good things that came back from that.
So does this system stand on its own for its functionality and reporting? Are there any other softwares that we currently have that do a similar function that we would need to sunset or migrate fully over to something like this? Or is this just kind of its own application for its own use? in your assessment?
There's really not a whole lot of overlap for Performance Matters currently. So I would say no, but I will tell you, we do a lot of support from a Performance Matters standpoint, but teaching and learning is really delves into Performance Matters quite a bit. Mr. Stefanchik does a lot of the training for our staff, and then kind of some of those, which I guess you'd call insights, right? Like, how do you look at a full student? You know, what are all those other factors? How do you pull those, and what kinds of reports come from that? So it's kind of a one-stop shop for all of that data to get a picture of what a student looks like. So incorporating all of those different pieces into it. So currently, we don't have anything else that does that function.
The reason why I asked that, as we're going through the budget and everything like that, you know, it's just looking for more efficiencies, and you know, as we're doing these student privacy policies with these with all of our vendors that offer us technology, that's a good time to really evaluate whether we really still need this software. Is it living up to our expectations? You know, do we need to renew that? So I'd encourage us to try and sharpen the pencil over there. But thanks for explaining that. I appreciate it.
Do we bid out the pressure washing? 'Cause that seems like such a crazy.
That was my question, so I'm glad you picked up on that.
We bid out the pressure washing.
It's page 4, item 4, $683,000.
And does that include water?
It was pressure washing, removing all caulk, joints to windows,
Yeah.
frames, removing
that-
downspouts.
I'm gonna have Mr. Bushy come up and talk about that.
I know, caught my eye too, Christie. But I got an explanation, and I think you'll understand more when it is explained.
Good afternoon. Just double checking, are we talking about the weatherproof pressure washing at Rimfire?
Yes, $683,000, that's a lot of
Yes, so
Pressure washing.
phase
Pressure
one of
washing.
that was, if you recall, last year we did buildings 1, 2, 5, and 3. And we pressure wash, we take down all of the downspouts and remove all the caulking, vertical, horizontal, around the windows. So it's not just cleaning, it's waterproofing the exterior of the entire building from top to bottom. Then going back with a coating, instead of just painting it, we're going over a coating that's the thickness of the coating that we're putting on there is like painting the structure 3 to 4 times, and then the longevity of what we're going to get. For instance, we did Benell Elementary School Building 13 was the first building that we did where we've had multiple leaks every time it rained. We had that. Since we have done that, we have had 0 leaks on that. So
It's like a ceiling.
So, but we do that like within Flagler schools, it's not like another company or?
no, this is a contracted out.
Was
Yes,
it
ma'am.
was it bid out, or was it on a state contract?
It's on a contract. It's through the Omni contract through DBS, and then typically they have we ask them to get pricing with the contractors within that, and then they hire the contract, and then they do the work through that contract.
Yeah, it's just like crazy.
But what's interesting is, because I had flagged, so correct me if I'm wrong, but when you talk about Rimfire,
This
that
is-
one was like 750,000,
Correct. Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So this is an addition to that
Correct.
one for the same campus.
That's correct.
Like, do we need to acquire one of these companies, like in-house, or do we need to teach a class? And I'm just saying, like, these are alarming numbers, because that's just one campus, and we're like, what, I'm trying to do the math, 1.4 million for like, that's maybe not accurate, but I mean, for just one campus.
Correct. I mean, it is 8 buildings, and Rimfire is one of our
It's a mile
largest.
round.
Correct. It is a K-8 facility if you want to look at it from that
So
perspective.
much money.
Right, it's big.
It's a lot of money, but
But it's
we're
not,
also
it's
getting.
pressure washing is kind of a deceiving way to look at that, right? Because it's really weatherproofing, and the paint, the sealant is the equivalent of a major paint job.
Correct. We are not just going up there pressure washing and painting.
Yeah.
That is what historically has been done in the past. And the longevity of it does not last that long, and you're not actually sealing the building. From an aesthetic standpoint, it looks beautiful because it's fresh paint. Where from a sealant standpoint, you're not fixing, if there are, you're caulking that over years, it does deteriorate, it does wear. That's where you start having your issues with water intrusion and different things like that. So doing this, it fixes all of those. And rimfire, we haven't done since, in my opinion, I think we painted one part of it, the darker color, one time since it's been open. The lighter color has never been touched, painted, or anything. So again,
It's just all at one time instead of.
Correct.
Yeah.
We did it in 2 sections, but again, we're removing the downspouts, and the reason why I say that is oftentimes behind the downspouts is where all your joints are at, which is when if you're just doing painting, they're not going to do that. They're just going to go in there, they're going to paint. You're not going to get that part done. So it's if you were to go by there, and aesthetically, I would be happy to show, look at the caulking and what we're talking about, but it is not just a
It's weatherproof.
wash and paint scenario.
And this coating lasts a lot longer? How many years should we?
They're saying that a usual painting, you're looking at somewhere between 4 and 6, depending on the color, depending on how much sunlight. This, you're gonna double that, somewhere between 8 and 10. Obviously, weather, sunlight changes all that. Rimfire is a little bit of a darker color, that maroon, so that will fade a little bit more. The fading is not, to us, on the maintenance side, as important as getting the joints around the windows and the joints. When rimfire years ago, we had a lot of water intrusion at the level of the slab and the wall, because it's a wet ground area and water would come up through there. So we've seen some, on the maintenance side, less maintenance calls on that because of what we're doing. And like I said, at Bunnell, the reason why we started doing this when we did Bunnell, that building was, if it rained even a little bit, we were getting calls, and a lot of it was around the windows with a 2-story concretable. You're familiar with that one? And we have not had, knock on wood, as this last view, we have not had any. So it's, and our plan is, once we're done with rimfire, hopefully next year, that we're gonna finish Bunnell, the rest of Bunnell. It may take 1 or 2 scenarios, but I would like to continue doing. I think this product is I won't say an inferior product, but it is shown on a maintenance side that it's a very good product, and it's lessening our water intrusion in the facilities.
Makes sense.
Any other questions?
Not on that particular item.
Okay.
Thanks,
Going down
Cory.
then 702.
Well, I'm sorry, no, in the same, I'm sorry, same,
701?
yeah, 701, I meant
Okay.
not on that particular line item. On the Ben and Keith Company for $1,063, purchase of food and paper supplies. And then there's another one for.
What page is that on?
Page 12 and 13, yeah. And then there's another one for $1,092 for food distribution and paper supplies.
The one on page 12, that is for school food service for the year.
For the year?
Yes.
Okay.
And why you're seeing so many POs is because these are all the new POs for 23-24, so a lot of the POs are done for the whole fiscal year. Once we get through July and August, it dwindles down quite a bit.
Okay, so these two here, so essentially we're paying a little over 1.1 million for this, but that's for the entire fiscal year for food and paper products.
That's our new contractor that we have, that Ms. Bush had talked to the board about. It's Benny Keith, and that's for the entire year. And you'll see that on a lot of these contracts, as Ms. Wormack mentioned, that it's covering basically the entire year.
Okay. And then we're getting, because we're going to zero cost lunch across for all kids, we're getting funding to offset that amount, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And is it covering the whole thing, or is
Yes.
it, okay?
I'm just curious, how can we see like Citrus County, Putnam County?
So, a couple, in the description,
Mhm.
so, several months ago, it was requested, The conversation came out with the board members that, it's hard to really see how many items are being purchased, what the quantity is, and whether it's bid out. So when we do our POs now, we put quantities on there, and then if it's a piggyback, that's why you see the county on there. So we tried to clean it up to show whether it's a state contract, whether it's a piggyback. So if you see another county, it's that we piggybacked off of their already existing contract, which will help lock us into prices for when they sign their contract.
So those counties, if I may add, that they go out to bid and then we're able to use, so we're not duplicating what they've already done and use their contract.
Hey Dave, real quick since Dave is here, because I just brought this up like randomly, but as I'm thinking about it, do we have so much maintenance that it is worth just beefing up our maintenance crew so that we're not having to outsource? I mean, it seems like outsourcing is so expensive. Like, it seems like we would have enough work just to...
Well, we have plenty of work to do. We have a deferred maintenance list that's millions. I mean, every county, every municipality has deferred maintenance that they don't have enough money to pay for. We have plenty of work that we need to do. Does it make sense to?
Yeah, so we have lots of work, but obviously not enough workers.
Right.
Like, when we're talking about 750,000 for this, 600,000, so we're essentially paying for someone else's profit, right? I mean, for another business.
Well, what you have to look at are those people that's their main job that they do.
They're experts.
They are experts in it, and for us to do it once a year, it really does not make
like we couldn't
financial
hire
sense.
the person who could do it. All right, I'm thinking about what wages would be for some, and it's just like, wow, we could probably have a whole team for what we're spending.
And they have a whole team that goes across multiple states that do it the same thing every year.
Okay.
All year.
It's lots of money.
Yeah, it is.
All right, any other
Thank
questions
you.
on 701? We'll go down to 702, request for board approval for vendor payments. Anybody? Seeing none, go to 703, request board approval for deletion of inventory. No, it's good to see we're finally getting rid of 16 and 17 MacBooks. That's a pretty good deal, considering at 23, they need to go. Okay. 704, request board approval for finance budget amendments. Anybody? Okay, not seeing any there. Going on to 705, request board approval for professional development travel. Any questions? Summer's when we have our professionals do conferences. It's good to see they're out there taking advantage of this opportunity. All right, we're off of 7. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Going down to academic services, that is a placeholder. We do not have the strings audit yet. Is that correct, Patty?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was next. They have been, we have reviewed their feedback. We have requested that POT, preliminary and tentative report be put together, and our plan is to bring that back to the 1 o'clock for review.
Okay. All right, good. All right, thank you. Going on to 10, operational services. Mr. Bush, the 5-year capital plan, please.
Good afternoon, Board Chair.
Back
Board.
again after this.
Yes, Superintendent Moore. Sorry.
Where is this? Mitigation one? Is that what the one we're on now?
No, we're not
No,
on
ma'am,
that
the
yet.
5-year
We're in 5 year
master plan.
plan. That's 1002. What's next? Jumping ahead.
I was gonna say,
Sorry.
but,
Let him get ready.
I present to you the tentative 23-24 district 5-year capital plan. This plan will also use for our 5-year work plan for DOE that'll be due around October 1st. This plan includes starting the process for a high school in the year with groundbreaking in 25-26. We will be bringing the forecast report from Davis Demographics to you the August 15th information workshop to see if the trend for the high school is still relative. Are there any questions?
Dr. Con?
The only, I guess, question or thought is, again, just for confirmation, the 5-year plan can be updated at any time,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So as we move forward into the coming school year, we've had some conversations about alternative schools or satellite programs or looking at other educational opportunities. If we needed to amend this plan moving forward, we could do that.
Yes.
Yes.
Typically, what we try to do in plan services, if you look at the 23-24, if it is in that column, we try to say that what's there, we try to hold to that and stick to that. Things happen, things break that
Sure.
we were not prepared. So things may have to slide to the right because something has to come into there that you know, our budget is what it is at that point, unless there's other funds that are found through Ms. Wormack that she's like, that makes it a little easier. So yes, I mean, there's, you know, or if there's an idea from the board or direction saying that we would like this, then we would look at that and say, well, how does that fit in our plan? Is that something that we're able to do this year? Or does it fit into that 5 years and subsequently things that were there would move to the right? So it's a moving back and forth depending on the needs that are in front of us, you know, this current year and then moving.
Okay, great, thank you.
Well, so to that point, Superintendent Moore, if we wanted to have a discussion, Corey, as you're talking, I think, well, if we were gonna have a new high school, we've been talking about smaller, more boutique, would this county wanna look at specialty, like 2 specialty secondary, you know, high schools, one that focuses on the arts and one that focuses on math, right? Instead of another big, kind of more generic high school. I'm just throwing that out because that's something we've talked about, is diversifying our educational formats, or anyway. If we wanted to brainstorm, is that something that the board could do sooner than later to talk about what we would want going forward?
So at the August 15th meeting, Davis Demographics will be here. They will present what our projections are on what we're looking towards when it comes to the need for an additional school. At that time, we then would begin to plan out how we're going to move forward, bringing that to life. But we'd also always be able to have the conversation if we want to look at different educational environments that we want to stand up over the next coming years at smaller sites.
Because that's now come up a few times. I think that's a consensus, right? That we just at least want to explore different school types.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have, you
All
know,
at least
options
it's
out
come
there.
up,
I mean,
yeah.
You've got the A1A Center, you've
Right.
got some pieces out there that looking at becoming various satellites to encourage enrollment, it might be something worth looking at.
Absolutely.
So that would be August 15th.
August 15th is when Davis
Correct.
Davis
That's when
Demographics
we'll
will
see
be
the
here.
numbers of what they're projecting, whether it's for us, it's a middle school or high school from what we're seeing. You know, because last year it was a middle school and it would change to the high school based on those numbers. So we're waiting to see what that looks like. But as far as planning, I mean, the sooner that we know what the pleasure of,
direction.
right, I mean, obviously the better that is, depending on land, what does that look like? You know, what are we wanting to build, and, you know, so the.
And how do we fit into our 5-year
Correct.
plan to retrofit any of the property that we already have into a different learning center?
Right.
So after the 15th, we'll definitely be able to have those conversations around what will schools look like in the coming years in Flagler schools.
Yeah, awesome, thanks.
All right, any other conversation? All right, next is the 1002 proportionate share mitigation ponds preserve development. Mr. Freeman, Mr. Whitson. You're not Mr. Freeman.
Good afternoon, Board.
Good afternoon.
Sheriff Cerro, once
Welcome.
more.
Thank you.
More growth coming.
Yeah.
This is a new development called Ponds Preserve. It's 74 single-family homes. And it's the same standard agreement that we've been presenting. And it's there for your review and approval. And I did just receive a few minutes ago the signature page for the applicant. So they're ready to go.
Where is this located?
It's located over off of,
95, I see that.
Right on the.
Is that like on the west side of the way station?
It is.
yes.
Okay, okay.
The last little sliver of green.
Yeah.
It's a very tiny, yeah,
It's
you
not
can
very
see
big.
development all around it. It's
Right.
kind of an odd shape. There it is up on the screen. It's just west of 95.
Okay. Yeah, not much else there. Any questions? All right, seeing none, thank you, Mr. Whitson.
Welcome, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, human resources, consent, personnel items. Mr. Roulette.
Chair Massaro, board members, Superintendent Moore. We have personnel items on the workshop agenda. It is a slim pickings because we had just come off of a board meeting, and we are right now in the process of processing a large number of recent hires, and so we don't post them until they're 100% complete. So by the next board meeting, that will look much different. So folks that you saw across the hall, I'd say about 80% of those are in
Process.
final
Great.
steps. Make sure they get their technology and their email address.
It looked like a decent crowd. How many newbies do we get this year?
Yesterday's class was 57, and there were 54 today, and then there was an additional onboarding this afternoon, and there'll be one more last minute on Friday, and then we've got folks that are starting in sub-status because the state DOE is also behind in their processing of temporary certs.
Wow, so at least over 100, 20 something. Wow, it's awesome. Great job.
We're getting there.
Any questions? I think we're gonna, is this true that we're gonna try to make this a live document from this point forward?
Which is why you have it
So
updated here.
for the benefit of the public, that means it's gonna be posted, but you're gonna see changes as they become permanent. So the rest of the board members will know to look that it'll stay, but it's never gonna be the same, probably 2 days in a row. It can change, so if you wanna keep
Yes.
an eye on that, I think that'll help people see where we are.
It looks like the filing name cadence, you've got well, how do I know it's been updated?
It will be updated on the August 15th board meeting. So this is where we are today, and then you'll have where we are at the time of the board meeting.
Okay, so it'll be put into that date.
Yes.
The way
Yes.
Looks like
Chair
it's the
Massaro was
15th, yeah.
saying was that it's like a,
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
and
lot
so it's like,
of
how do I know that it's been
Yeah.
updated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good. Are we good on that? Okay, thank you on that. And now we have the stop loss renewal proposal with Sun Life Financial for health insurance.
Yes. Board as self-insured, stop loss is a portion of what we work with Brown and Brown to make sure it happens as far as when our insurance, as self-insured, when our folks who are insured get to a very expensive level of care as far as exhaustive benefits at a level of $225 and above. Stop loss allows us to go ahead and insure ourselves so that we mitigate that risk for having a lot of high need, high cost employees that have our insurance. So annually we go out, we purchase a stop loss contract. Brown & Brown took our lost contract with Sun Life out to bid. And this slide reflects the replies that we had as far as the bids that came back. And if you go to the next slide, the folks that were really in the running obviously were Sun Life again, but you also had Florida Blue, Berkeley, and one other folks that having a hard time reading their name. Long story short, the proposal was reviewed by both Danielle with Brown & Brown along with Ms. Gavin and Chief Financial Officer, and we're recommending as far as to the board that the purchase of Florida Blue this year would be the stop-loss option. That would be the best deal when all things were considered. Brown & Brown is working with Florida Blue to get the contract to us. That's why right now what you have is the presentation of what was available for bid. The next time I talk, what will be added to this will be the contract, so that it'll be available for you to also review.
Board, this is a 19.1% reduction.
I was gonna say, yeah.
So I have a question in regards to that. The savings of the $150,000, was that accounted for in the general fund that we talked about today?
No, because this is self-insurance fund.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah.
never mind.
All right, any questions? Brown & Brown has always worked well, trying to save us as much money as they possibly can over the years. It's a really good partnership, so I'm glad we have them. 19% reduction is a huge plus. So that's good, very good. Okay, seeing none, thank you, sir. All right, we're going down to item 13, school board attorney consent. 13.01, request board approval for the renewal of small school district council consortium. Presenter, Ms. Gavin.
Yeah, at this time, I'm gonna.
Where's that?
Huh? No, it should have been pulled because we do not have an invoice yet, so this will be actually pushed to hopefully in September. We just don't have an invoice from them yet. It will be coming to us. We checked with the Small School District Consortium. We were hoping to have it, but we do not have it. So if we were to get it, it is a renewal cost, but until we receive it, I just can't present it to the board. So the next agenda item, I haven't received any comments from anyone on the job description that we discussed. So unless there is anything in addition that this board would like to change to it, otherwise it's going to stand as published, and everything that's in red will switch to black, and that will become our new job description. And like I said, I worked with, it was myself and John Richter that worked on this.
Any comments or questions,
Can you scroll back up to, did the, so what do you need from us? Because if I'm a team of one, I would just completely scrub it to what my preference would be. I think if Will was a power of one, he would completely maybe scrub it for exactly what he wants. And so I think at one point you had asked us to like send suggested edits. I didn't do that, Christy, because I don't know I don't know what the next step is to that. Like, would you bring forward everybody's suggested edits? And
yes,
then we would discuss those.
Yes, that was what I would have, would do, and I still can do if, because I can place this on the 1 o'clock meeting. Ultimately, I need a final job description because the next big lift that's going to take place in our timeline for our superintendent search is going to be getting this advertised, and the job description is a part of that advertisement of what the qualifications are, what the requirements and expectations are. And so this job description is aligned with what FSBA has seen in other districts, and it's also aligned with the Florida statute, which sets forth
Okay.
what the expectations are. of
Well,
the
and so let me be
superintendent.
like real specific. Dr. Conklin was not here. The four of us, I presented the idea of changing the title to Chief Executive Officer and Superintendent. I don't see that reflected.
I haven't made that change.
So my question being, what I need to know is exactly what is the process, because that's just the title, right? So is it, we discussed the title, do we vote on it, and then do we go then to the, we discussed, I think we all landed on absolutely, there's consensus that we want masters as a requirement, doctorate preferred. Do we then vote on that? I think I'm looking, this is such an important piece, but I don't quite know the process
It
here.
does say in
I
the
said-
job goal,
yeah.
superintendent shall be the chief executive officer of the district. I don't have a problem with superintendent of schools. I do like the reference to the CEO in the description, the job goal.
I think, so what we talked about last time was, we have an entire C-suite now. We have chief financial officer, chief technology officer, Bob is chief of HR. And so in a lot of cases, executives do have two titles. They might be a regional senior manager and senior vice president of. And so, again, I think setting that tone of the expectation is that this person is not only superintendent of schools, but they are expected to be the chief executive officer of an organization, the largest employer in the county, $250 million or whatever it is budget. And so I hear you that it's in the description. I kind of put forward that to me it would be really meaningful to also include that in the job title.
And we can include that if that's the will of the board. I'm happy to do that. This is a consensus thing that I'm taking the information down. If the consensus of the board is to have the job title be CEO - superintendent of schools.
So what, and again, I'm being, I thought we had consensus last time, and so is this now the meeting where we are going through it?
Yes.
To discuss it
Yes,
in more
ma'am.
detail? Okay, so I will put forward, my ask is that the job title is changed to Chief Executive Officer and Superintendent.
Is there anybody here that would disagree with that?
No?
Okay.
No, so I think that's fine.
That'll be a
That's
change.
fine, okay. And I think that we're not gonna go line by line and approve things. However, this is your time frame to bring up anything, and that we'll accept this as a complete group. We're not gonna go line by line. So if there's anything on here that you disagree with, now's the time to bring it up, or so we can address it.
So how's that gonna read, Christie? Is it gonna say superintendent of schools, comma, CEO?
Or CEO.
My recommendation would it be that it would be CEO - superintendent of schools.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's good.
That would be my recommendation.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
CEO - superintendent of schools. Yeah.
We good? We're good with that.
So this is gonna be, that's what's up on top and bold right there.
Yes.
That's what we're
Yes,
talking
sir.
about, yeah.
Yes. Okay, we like that. All right, does anybody else, after viewing this now, this is our second meeting looking at it, any other changes or recommendations or things you'd like for consideration?
I don't really, if I'm looking at this job description, right?
Yes.
I don't know what job description supplemental code 6 means,
Where are you at?
the very bottom. So I would almost recommend deleting that and putting in a salary range.
Okay, so job description supplement code 6, that has to do actually with the type of requirement and expectation on lifting. It's really more built in for workers' comp. Every single one of our jobs has a supplement code attached to it.
Then shouldn't we explain it? I'm just saying if somebody's applying for the job, that
Yeah, that means nothing
to them.
It doesn't.
I mean, we can, it's on every single job description, and
I
supplement
know.
code 6. I certainly, when I first saw this, I didn't know what it was either, and I had to dig within HR a couple of years ago to find
If
out.
we're gonna leave it on there, can we add just a statement what it means?
Sure.
Is everybody okay with that?
I agree.
That's fine.
Should we also not add the salary
Yeah,
range?
salary range. Where does that go? Because we know
I would think it'd be at the
developed one.
bottom, right?
So terms of employment says salary and benefits shall be paid consistent with district-approved compensation plan. We can certainly add a salary range, but yeah.
Personally, I think if people are looking, they want to know at least what the range
Yeah,
is.
if it's something they're
If they're gonna
interested in
even
applying for.
bother to
If it's
apply.
well below what they're willing to
Right.
accept.
Yeah, they won't apply.
Yeah,
But that's
or
okay.
we just spin our wheels
Yeah.
with them
Yeah.
until they find out what it is.
But how big do we make that range?
I thought we settled, was it 165 to 215?
Or it's
215 is mind-blowing to me.
I know, and that's what we discussed with
I mean,
MSBA.
Well, they
I thought
suggested
if
that we
you
had
were gonna look at-
something in the two, like just over two.
Like
For
205.
the range, but, I mean,
200.
I think 160 to 195 tops, holy crap. like-
Well,
215 to me would be somebody who I, as one board member, could trust that they would come in here as far as operational efficiency, creativity in terms of thinking about how we retain more FTE dollars. Like literally in the long run, they are saving us so much money that they have paid for their salary and then some. To me, that's not any candidate
Yeah.
would get 215. It would be an exceptional candidate.
Yeah, I think for our job
Size.
area and our size of school district, 215 is out
who
of
did
whack.
she, who was, did they said somewhere just
Charlotte
recently,
County.
was it, where was it?
Charlotte County, I believe.
Just up their salary too, just to attract candidates to was over 200.
I don't know as they upped their salary range, the amount that they ultimately contracted with that person was at a higher amount.
Yeah.
Does that include your benefits, or this is just your salary?
That's salary.
This is
This
just
is
straight
base salary.
Yes, and there's benefits added to that, besides your health benefits,
Right.
car and vacation time.
I think the board would be, and I don't know the exact numbers, I think we would be really surprised to find out what district staff make for salary, for compensation. So I mean, that superintendent should be, I mean, the district, in my opinion, are pretty highly paid positions, and this is the leader of this organization. So, I mean, I think when we talk about operational efficiency, it's for conversations exactly like this one, because our money should be going, this is a priority to me. Our leader is everything for this organization. So if we need to find dollars somewhere, it's for this position. And I'm not saying we're absolutely gonna pay someone $215, but to attract the people that we want to attract, we may end up being at a 170. But I think this is just to say, like, what is the max that we would be willing to do? And if we can't do it, then I guess that's a whole nother conversation.
I think,
I was just,
go ahead. Good.
I was just gonna say, I'm just looking at the salary.com, that usually kind of grabs a good snapshot, but it says school superintendent salary in Florida. The average school superintendent salary in Florida for June of 2023 is $165,000. The range typically falls between $135,000 and $200,000.
And I was gonna say, I think 200,000 is a nice figure, to be honest with you. And we're already at 165, so, and that's more than we've been paying by 20,000-ish.
I think if you're getting up to that level, then you have to see that person all the time, which I feel like we're already seeing Ms. Moore do.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's that's fair to be competitive with the size school. Remember, we have a small school system, as opposed to the biggies that are over 300,000.
I'd feel more
so.
comfortable if I actually, so, like, I just pulled up
That's what I got mine.
the salary range for the superintendents and school board members and all the elected officials.
Mhm.
Now, I know obviously in Florida, a good number of are appointed, like in Flagler.
Right.
But you have Miami-Dade's at 204,000.
No,
Now, I know that's for an
not-
elected,
Yeah, but that's
right?
not, they paid over 300,000.
But that's what I was gonna ask. It would
Yeah.
be really helpful if there was some kind of a spreadsheet that shows. Is there anything like that?
There is, it's on Florida School Board, it's on Florida, I don't know where I got it, FDOE, I think.
Well, I think a reasonable range from 165 to 200 is,
A
sets,
good
doesn't
range.
overstate expectations, it doesn't understate it either. And, you know,
Bless you.
and superintendents that are applying know that they're gonna have to show that they.
Wiggle room, yeah.
Exactly. And they know what they're worth, they also know they have to prove it, so.
And we wanna pull somebody that's already a superintendent, probably an assistant superintendent, that has experience. They're gonna be making the money. So we have to have something that they think they could, you know, fall into and be comfortable. So I think 165 to 200 sounds good to me.
I'll agree with that.
I wouldn't wanna go, I wouldn't.
Oh, well, that's
I wouldn't
three,
wanna go
that
over
was three,
200 though.
three of us.
So I don't even, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so it's
Consensus,
165.
200. Got it.
To 200, okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Anything else
Are
with the
there
job
any other?
description?
Well, so I guess I misunderstood the process, so I would ask that this is not locked in at this moment. I mean,
This is gonna be
No,
voted
no,
on.
next-
It'll be
next
voted
meeting.
on at the next meeting,
But 1
and
o'clock
so,
conversation.
like I said, if anybody gives me, to me, we've locked in a lot of the significant pieces and some issues with some of the things on there that had no meaning. I knew what it meant, but nobody else does. But if there's any changes, like right now, everything's in red. Let's just say you wanna add to performance responsibility an item. Sally, if you were to give me that, I might color you in green, and it'll say Ms. Hunt's recommendation is green.
And then we can discuss it
If
at the next meeting.
Christy gives me another thing of performance responsibilities, hers might be in purple. Will's might be in green. You know, everybody will have a different color.
okay, can
And-
you tell us what is, because I know you've been asking for this, what is the date? When you say next meeting, you mean our official?
So.
No, 1 o'clock.
So my preference, I will put this on for the 1 o'clock meeting, and then we will vote on it at the 6 o'clock meeting, so that
Okay.
it's finalized.
All right.
My preference would be, because I do want to be able to publish it ahead of time, my preference would be any recommended changes I need to have at least by the Thursday prior to, so that I can post it up at Board Docs. So all of you will be able to, instead of just looking at it for the first time at the 1 o'clock meeting, you'll be able to see it over the weekend. The public will be able to see those potential recommended changes. And that way, you guys will be able to have a good conversation around it.
Okay.
Okay, is that good? All right, so we're all set on that? All right, the next one is 1303 FYO Strings Legal Opinion.
We've already reviewed that before. I don't know as there's any need for further discussion of whether anybody wants discussion. This was on here because it was hoped to be a companion piece with the audit, but we are still waiting on it, so.
Have we gotten any responses from Ms. Tristan since last week when we talked about it?
Oh, emails?
Yeah, I have not had any response yet, but.
Access to the e-account, yeah, that's what we're
But,
looking for.
yeah, but I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I am not 100% up to date on all of my emails because I've been working feverishly to get us open on online agreements and Google. So I've been trying to keep up to date. I haven't seen anything, but it could be in my public. I have 2 different emails I have to monitor. It
Did
could
you
be in my
send the
PR.
letter to her? Okay.
And what did it detail?
What's the letter?
What
It
was
just set
Requesting the
forth
missing
the
items that
we
they're
need.
looking for.
All the
Access
MailChimp,
to online
all those
accounts.
things we talked about in last meeting, PayPal, the Fundly, bank statements.
Yeah, okay.
Is there, the one thing that came to mind last time, is there a Plan B, creating a new website under a new name, a new PayPal, a new?
I'm not the right person to ask that. I don't know if there's a plan B.
Well, I think what we need to do is,
Yeah, I'm not the right person to ask that.
Mr. Reeves, could you please
Ryan
join us?
Deasing.
And Ryan,
I think we should probably wait to see if she responded.
that's a nice shirt, I must admit, compliments, well dressed today.
Board members, more. Mr. Deasing and I have been working with this. We have access to the website. We've already met and worked through that, and it's been cleaned up.
There you go, okay.
Links have been shut down, different pieces pieces and components of that.
Good.
It's been scrubbed, as it were, to just reflect to be determines and hang in there and wait and watch. And so we did that last weekend. It's taken care of. We do have some applicants that have applied. We have working through a team to start interviewing, that kind of stuff. So we're moving forward with FYO.
What's your projection for trying to button this down as soon as possible? When do you think you might be able to get somebody ready to roll?
That'd be hard to say.
Okay, I say that was a projection.
Because we're working through a number of things right now to make sure service contracts and all those pieces and parts. I've been in contact with the 3 people that we have under contract now. I had a good conversation with them yesterday. I had another conversation today with another gentleman that reached out to us more. Very promising. So
It was one of the individuals that pulled their contract that wants to.
They come back?
step
Yes.
back in.
That would be lovely.
We had a very positive conversation today.
That'd be
We have a
lovely.
meeting on Friday. I'm working with Ms. Calero. We've scheduled a meeting for Friday afternoon to talk contract. And so we are.
The sooner we can communicate something to parents and family members, the better. Because you have a lot of people that are just kind of waiting.
I don't disagree, but I don't want to get out in front of whoever's going to be leading it.
Sure.
And mismessage something that,
Yeah.
so I think it's important to get the person first so they can establish their vision to move it forward. And we're working close with Ms. Moore on this to make sure we find the right person to move it forward.
When you talk about the right person, I mean, since we're talking about this, the question that I had coming into today is it formality singers? Am I saying this correct?
Yes.
Which is, they're gorgeous. I went to one of their concerts, and I was just trying to wrap my head around, because I'm continuing to kind of search for comparisons of programs. So for like a formality singers, does that have an artistic director, like a musical director and a program director being paid at the same salary as Flagler Youth Orchestra?
I can't speak to that because I'm not familiar with that
It's also a
organization.
No,
full-time
but there's full-time
employee.
in staff. They have
Well,
teachers.
and that's, I mean, I guess that's where I kind of continue to get confused, because we have so many programs. It's my understanding that, is it a stipend-based system, like I'm an employee and I also get paid a fairly nominal stipend to be an assistant basketball coach or to be this. I guess I just kind of continue, especially as we're talking about budget, looking for some more efficiencies. Why this program, which we all agree is awesome, but why does this program have so much more administrative like leadership than what I'm seeing from other programs?
So the positions that are out there right now that I can tell you about, these are I'll say experts in their field. They're teaching violin lessons. We're working with cellos and such. Administratively, there was one position that kind of helped organize the fundraising, getting the snacks up, the stands out, the face of the organization,
Rooms, reserves,
all that stuff.
scheduling.
The other people that were in line were the folks that led the orchestras that were doing the actual instruction. So in that sense, there's 300 to 400 children that are students that are involved in this program, and we're looking to try and move this from the board's direction to add to this, to at one point try to have courses where they're getting credits, if you remember.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of parts moving to that, as opposed to I'm a basketball coach or I'm a lacrosse coach, right? Where there's not courses we're trying to tie to this to give students credit for high school and then beyond. So it's a little bit more detailed than that, but the contracts themselves mostly revolve around the instructors in the field based on their expertise.
And you're not paying the person whoever does the oversight on this, what you're paying them is a nominal fee for what they're doing, for the hours required to do
Yeah,
it.
well, but to that point, I think we, again, that I think people are pretty familiar with, like, the fact that a football coach puts in, or they put in so many hours. It really is kind of a love project, right? Like it's a stipend. Off the top of your head, I mean, like it used to be like they would get paid like $3,000 for.
So like
it's 5 now.
Yeah, but
And they're
so-
full-time and they're teaching them a football class as well.
So like let's say for instance Victor, who was one of the orchestra leaders for the past, was getting, off the top of my head, somewhere around 10,000-ish, right, to lead orchestra
Right.
every week. So in the same vein, you see those kind of things taking place. And again, working closely with finance, the other thing I'll tell you is that the monies that the district has put forth does not cover all the expenses. They still have to raise dollars to help offset some of those costs associated with those staffing positions. So the district already is in a position where it's, I think, leveraging the FYO to help have some skin in the game to help offset some of that cost.
It's just, to me, it's a weird program. To your point, like there's a little fundraising. It's like kind of our program, but then it's kind of not. It's just a bit of a weird one-off program for me.
But it's
It worked very successfully.
Right, but it's coming under teaching and learning now, right? And it's under my program, so that's where it should be. This is because it's instructional, and so tying those things together, I think, is the right decision to help move it forward and help accommodate what the board wanted, was to see it go to eventually, hopefully, where students are actually earning credits and those kind of things to help our students as they go to college.
How many, what do we have?
It's the only program.
How many instructors there?
With
They have part-time and.
so,
with FYO.
so right now we have 3 under contract.
No, but I know typically the 70-something pays for how many?
So it pays for roughly 6
I thought it was 6.
It is 6.
6 and then the 4.
The part-time
two.
position, so there's
So it's
6.
7. So 8, sorry. 6 and the 2.
Yeah.
And then where else
That's
do we?
it, and it depends on the number. So the part-time instructors are wholly dependent upon the number of students
Sure.
that actually are enrolled.
Sure.
So you have the 2, and then it's always fluctuated from an additional 4 to 6 part-time instructors,
Right.
depending on the number
And
of
some are
students.
1 day a week, depending on
Yeah.
their expertise,
Yep.
how they organize their.
So
And it's K-12.
It's
What other program
Pretty
is
cheap.
K-12?
Yeah, which is another aspect of why it's
I mean,
more
that-
like one-off, because it is like
it's
district-wide.
Nobody else, right?
Yeah.
It's
No,
district-wide.
But I think to our credit, right, as
Yeah,
a
great.
community,
Yeah.
that we have this type of unique
Yeah.
program,
Yeah,
so I
it's a
think.
great
And that is not, I don't think
Yeah.
anybody is
No, no, no.
saying we don't
To our
want it.
advantage.
It's just like,
So
questions.
the program kind of ran kind of autonomous with an occasional check-in with the board in previous time. Now that it's under, is it now under you? So
Teaching and
that-
learning.
So it's teaching and learning, there'll be updates and check-ins on the program throughout,
Very
just like
much
any
so.
other okay, great.
Just as much as ELA, or math,
Okay,
or
so it gets the
science.
same attention just like that.
And I think it's important to note that we got a report and update every single year by FYO to this board, every year.
So
Every
yes,
single
there will
year.
be additional
There wasn't one year that went by.
updates to curriculum,
Right.
but in addition, you'll also have that oversight piece, because you'll have a bookkeeper
Right.
that will be overlooking finances, and then there will be that has to be monitored, plus you'll have that audit that will come for any of our internal accounts. So there will be an additional oversight on that as well.
And even though they are independent contractors, are they required to be governed by all of our policies as far as how we engage students? Even though they are an outside contractor and outside of our.
We use them now, if I can. And so, like, you might have someone that does the flags, right, for the bands, marching bands. Sometimes that's an independent, under a service contract. You might have someone in the chorus has it for
Actually, I
play
think
piano.
the
Is
best
another
example, our
Such
fire
too.
safety program. The instructor for our fire safety program, he is under a separate contract. We're paying, a percentage of his salary
And I want you to think about that. We're paying for one person's salary at almost $80,000 for how many students are in that program?
Right, but again, he's
Less,
not.
how many students are in that program? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, like probably,
I want to guess. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar
I'm
with that.
not
so I
sure.
wouldn't
I'm
wanna-
gonna say it's probably well under 30.
Yeah,
Yeah,
about 30.
it's about
Okay,
30. I was gonna
I'm
say
gonna
30.
say it's well under 30. We are paying $70,000 for 300+ students to
Yeah, but
participate.
you
I-
take
I-
into account
but
how
what
many
I-
hours, like fire instructor.
But you
person is
put
in
all of
that
those
building.
people together hourly, they're putting in way more hours
hours than one individual
I
is
mean,
doing.
I don't want to offend anybody, but to me, it's not the same as clocking into a building for 12 hours and staying there and not leaving. you
Who's
know,
clocking
like-
into a building for 12 hours?
I'm just saying, how long are they spending on the school grounds working on this?
They're they have to turn in their timesheets, right? So they're part-time employees.
Right.
You've got what, 6 to 8 part-time employees for
They
that
have
amount of
school
money.
Monday through Thursday.
They're impacting 300 plus students, whereas we are paying $80,000 for one person that is impacting less than probably 20, I mean, I don't know what the exact number is, but I want to say 23, 25 kids.
And
That's a full-time
program,
job.
I think
the
apples
program
and
is definitely,
oranges. I mean, the fire department's leading these kids into very high paying.
Right, and how many of
careers.
these students have
Are
we even
going
heard
on.
of that are going on with
Well, we don't
scholarships
know
and full
because-
ride? We do know though.
We do know.
Well, I don't think anybody's, I don't know why we're debating
No,
the
I-
program's
No, I don't
values.
either.
No one was concerned about that, to compare it against their program. And no one's really concerned about really the 73,000 that we did. All I'm getting at is I just want to make sure that
What
we
I was-
have full oversight and
Yes.
accountability from not just the finances, but a regular check-in on this, because these are independent contractors. They're not showing
the program
up.
is coming under teaching and learning.
Right.
There will be regular check-ins. The board will continue to receive annual updates or updates more frequently than that. But it is now completely under teaching and learning, and I assure you we will definitely have that oversight.
And the contracts we were using before were these kind of older style.
So the professional service
Right,
contract.
mhm.
So, okay. So the professional service contract, that is something that we typically use with a lot of our employees that might be doing our adult community education as frequently when those contracts are used. We also utilized it with Ms. Oden when she was a consultant for our safety. All of the employees, and the reason why I was bringing up the fire safety instructor was just for the sole purpose you asked whether or not they have to comply with our policies. Yes, they are required to comply with our policies and our guidelines while they are on our campus, and there's that expectation under that. We are looking at, if you're talking about the higher salaried and compensated employees, we can do a separate agreement with that individual that outlines the expectations of what they will be doing in those specific purposes and jobs. But for the employees that you all just approved recently, which were the part-time instructional, it sets forth, and that's really more akin to what we utilize with anyone who's a part-time instructor with adult and community education, where it sets forth, here's the maximum amount we will be paying to you for those services rendered. And so I think that's already been approved by this board.
Just for clarification, our part-time adult ed instructors are as-needed employees. They are not contracted.
No, but we sometimes have had them use the supplement.
These individuals are on a professional service contract that will have very detailed, here's the max we're gonna pay you, here are our expectations. As we've stated, the program is now under teaching and learning. We will continue to provide updates to the board. We're working as fast as we can in order to get the program back up and moving, as you have already approved the program for this year, and we're going to do our best to make sure we provide a good service to our community and to our students with the program, with what you have approved for us to do.
Well, I'm just getting at, if we're paying them to be instructors of children, whether or not they're an employee or an independent contractor, their parents need to know that they are going to comply with all policies, law, like parents' rights
Absolutely.
law. All those things apply. Are they making any acknowledgement in the contract, that the individual, that they are aware of that they are governed by our policies, even though they're an independent contractor? That's what I'm saying. There may need to be an update to some of the language to make sure that they're aware that this is, they're governed by these policies and laws, so.
And just a reminder, I said earlier that I'm meeting with Ms. Calero on Friday to discuss the contracts
Okay.
moving forward. So that was
So that's a
already,
good thing
already
to keep in
scheduled.
mind.
And I think 12:30 on Friday, so that's already been scheduled in
And
place.
you can make sure that,
Yep,
that
definitely
language is
parental
clear.
rights,
Clear to
absolutely.
Okay, is that good?
And the legal review came back that there was nothing inappropriate, just the lack of the district's oversight.
Well, the
That it was
MOU.
an oddity.
Yeah, an
The-
MOU
The
with your own
memorandum
yourself.
of understanding was an oddity. I think that was, the way I read it, the attorney's opinion seemed to see that the memorandum of understanding was not necessarily the best vehicle to relay the information that was given in a direction, but the information was valuable. So I think that in some sort of, whether it's in the contracts or just a guidance thing, a direction, there needs to be something that they individually sign as this is what we expect out of you as an individual, and the overview of the program and the outcome we're hoping to achieve, right? I think that's the change there when in place of the MOU, right?
Yeah, we don't need an MOU.
If there's just I never thought we needed an MOU to
We
begin
didn't.
with.
You're
but-
not making an MOU with yourself.
Right,
Which is
but,
crazy.
I mean, it's the language as simple as, operating under the policies and procedures of
Yeah,
Flagler.
but it did say that having the independent contractors, having that relationship in this program was not a problem. So
Yeah.
that gives us some, at least for me, gives me clear thought of moving forward, how we continue to build this and
Okay.
how it's going to work in the future.
All right, anything else?
Well, and just real quick, I'm just going to say, I would like to speak with you offline, because what I'm going to just continue to get hung up on is if this falls under teaching and learning. Attorney Gavin brought up the fire instructor. To me, this would be like if the fire instructor, we then paid another person contract that person reported to, which is then, there's oversight from a district for that. Like, I guess I'm not understanding why there's not a district person who is that oversight program person that the director, like the youth orchestra director, is just reporting to. So I don't want to take up any more board time. It's odd to me, and it's just not.
But wouldn't that
anyway.
be you now?
Yeah, it's him.
Yeah, so now
He's the
he's going
district
to
person.
he's now the district point person for the program. So whoever we.
But there's
But we're
two.
not gonna put somebody, I think what I'm hearing is,
Okay.
why don't we have a staff person be the
Manager.
executive
Oh,
director?
I see.
And
No, we'll need it financially.
yeah, I don't know how, one, I don't think we have the manpower to add that to somebody's responsibility, but two, we're talking about a part-time position that does all of this. I don't know how familiar everyone is with the amount of work, and I'm not even completely familiar, but the amount of work that has gone into what I've just witnessed over the years in looking at that as an organization, from shows to bill plays to practices to
Equipment.
scheduling to transportation. I would never want to put that burden on anyone on your team. That's almost like a full-time job.
It is.
Well, and I think what we've been talking about now for the last month or so is that we could, as a district, hire 200 people who could do amazingly awesome things that could add value to the district. I will never, if we had endless funds, I'd be like, oh yeah, let's have that person do that, and let's have that person do this. Always. I think in the spirit of need to have, nice to have, I would just love to, personally familiarize myself more with what does that person do? Is it on par with what we do for other programs? Because if they spend 40 hours a week, is that do they have to? Or could this program be ran, with somebody spending 5 hours a week on it? I just want to, I've mentioned this before, just because we've done something a certain way, is
agree.
that how we need to do it going forward?
Could I add one more thing? I'm sorry, do you
I
have an answer? Go
I
ahead.
just gonna say, we're building a plan as we're flying it.
Right.
And trying to put the things in place. And I think that's going to be, as much as we can, the front end, put the things in place, but we're gonna have some aha moments, I'm sure, along the way. And I think that the spirit of it is that we want to move forward for kids. We want
Yeah.
to provide our students in our community this exceptional opportunity, and just want to do it in an effective and efficient way.
And please don't ever think that Sally Hunt does
Nope.
not want what is best for our students.
no,
Like,
no,
that's
that's not-
not ever.
And what I hear you
my
asking
position.
is this equivalent to our band programs? Is this equivalent to our chorus programs? And now that this is under our purview, right now, we need to get it going and operating. So some of it will look like it has looked or similar to what it has looked in in order to move forward. But as back to Mr. Reeves' statement, as we do that, we'll then get a better understanding of what the structure needs to continue to look like as we move forward.
Which again, LaShaka, operationally, but from a job description standpoint, like it's my understanding that still is board approval of, are we approving that position? So I mean, I know it's like that, kind of that thing of you're moving forward, but like have we even like,
Well, you got,
approved
well,
it yet?
if I'm not mistaken, at the last board meeting, it was approved for the program, the funding for the program.
Correct. And
Okay,
right.
so it's my understanding that within the funding that has been approved, that we are moving forward with the
Within that.
program.
Love it. That's
Within that. But as we go into, yes,
spots.
but as we come out of this year, this cycle year, this will be coming back before the board again, and you will be making a determination as to what it will look like based on, of course, information that we will provide to you this year of what it will look like in the future.
Is there credit with it? What? Yeah, like what?
And Ms. Sun, I could support your idea of having an instructor in-house eventually, but I think, you know, we're trying to keep this program, we have a short window of time to get it, keep it going, right?
Yes.
So I think the efforts should be there. But the reason why I wanted to be certain that we had somebody in oversight, not so much for accountability, but to learn. We want to get regular updates on this and what's working, what we might change, so that when we come around next year, we take what we learned from this season of the program and make it the best we can the next year, whether that's one idea or whether it keeps going the way it is. But I think we need to be more proactive in understanding how well this will work with what we've got to work with right now, right? And how we're going to fundraise might look different, right? That's why I really want to get that MailChimp account, because that's a way we can communicate to donors. I'm sure and that Fundly account, those are past donors that we could reach out to and start pointing them to hopefully continue to support the program. On the website, there was a donation address on there. Did we change it where somebody, if they were coming back to the site, say where to send the checks to, like to send it to Flagler School?
So we've embedded our address throughout through the GSB for that information. The links for donations we left live because my understanding that dollars were still coming in and checks were being cut to.
Right.
So we didn't want to stop that flow. I'm not sure how much it is at this point, but we didn't want to stop it. And then when we get our person in place, redirect it and launch a vision of how to move forward.
Great. Thanks for the update.
Thanks.
Okay, you good?
Yes.
Thank you
All
for
right,
the dialogue.
thank you all. Okay, 1304, 2023 policy updates reflect changes from 2023 legislative session.
So we are going to be passing this till next month's meeting because we're still waiting for the rule changes. We got a group of rule changes last Friday. And so hopefully, and also August is supposed to be the next lift of rollout. And there were 59 rule changes that could impact the policy. So until we see those to present anything to the board, although just to let you know, what will be coming to the board is an internet policy. What will be coming to the board is an AI policy. AI is not required this year, but I attended a FIRMA conference, and the gentleman who was from Atlanta, Georgia, he asked, everyone that was in the room how many had an AI policy. No one, and these were not just small districts. Duval County was there. No one has an AI policy. And they're like, well, if you don't have one, you need to have one. Yeah. So getting ahead of that, looking at an AI policy. changes to safe schools will have to be made policy just because of the different naming of, instead of it being a threat assessment tool, it's a threat management tool. So verbiage has to be changed and updated, but because we're still waiting on some of those rules to come in, I don't want to put the cart before the horse and say, here, approve this, put it out for advertisement, only to get something that requires us to change that policy again.
Okay, all right, that's good, that's good. All right, so looking down here, we're going all the way down now to 21, old business. Board, old business. You
I
have
just
the floor.
wanted to,
Go ahead, Christie.
I just wanted to revisit, we talked about, talking about public comment again, tightening some of that up, but we're gonna get to that.
Christie?
Sure.
The rules and regulations for public comment, they are on the bottom of our, they're usually on the bottom of our agenda, correct?
Yes. It says, school board meeting public comment rules. Each comment will be limited to the time period established by the chair. Comments should be directed to the chair or the board as a whole and not to individual board members. Speakers may not address board members by name. Speakers commenting on agenda items shall confine their comments solely to the agenda item being discussed. Speakers may not use any form of profanity or make loud, abusive comments. No clapping, applauding, heckling, shouting, comments from the audience, or verbal outbursts in support or opposition to a speaker or their remarks shall be permitted. No signs or placards shall be allowed in the board meeting. Persons exiting the board meeting shall do so quietly. The chair may warn speakers that their comments have gone beyond the subject matter for which they chose to address matters that are not related to the business of the school district, constitute personal attacks on individuals, or otherwise violate the rules. Following a warning, any person making impertinent or slanderous remarks or who become boisterous while addressing the board may be banned from further appearance before the board for the balance of the meeting. The chair may recess the meeting if a speaker persists in addressing irrelevant topics or engages in personal attacks. The chair has the authority, after one warning, to order the removal of the speaker from the meeting. So that's
our policy.
That is our.
So are we talking about it now, or?
Well, you brought it up, I guess.
No, I'm just letting you know that is our procedure.
That's our policy, yeah.
Old business, I know you had requested that it be something that this board discuss, and I think that time has run out in previous, it was School Board Policy 205, I believe is the policy that this comes under. And so it can certainly be at the 1 o'clock information meeting.
Okay.
I think we were gonna talk about it one time and it.
Yes,
didn't
and
get to
we
it.
ran out of time is what
Yeah.
happened.
Okay, so we can take that to the 1 o'clock meeting then, our next
As
1
long
o'clock
as it's
meeting.
not too much.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I just want to bring our attention, because this has been an ask, is that we have taken 3 additional things and added it to that 1 o'clock meeting. So we can definitely add it, but want to be
It doesn't have to
definitely.
be the next meeting, but just wanna keep that fresh in our minds.
Was
Okay,
it-
so
Could that not be a board retreat item that we talk about our procedure manual?
It was my understanding that how do we go about making changes to our public comment?
I think we did
So,
it at a board
so it's
retreat
2 different things.
originally.
You can either,
Yeah.
if you're changing board policy, if you're wanting to change board policy, then we have to advertise it, sits for the
Yeah,
30
yeah,
days,
yeah.
and then it goes forward. If we're changing our procedure manual can be changed at any point in time that the board decides that they want to change certain aspects of it. It's the board's procedure. It's your manual. It's your procedures. It's easier to update and change those things. If anything gets changed with how the public is going to be interacting with us, we just need to be able to set forward a time of when it would begin. Because
And it's probably not a bad idea, even though it was kind of goofy when Trevor would read it before the board meeting. It might be helpful to read it before the board meeting to remind the public of what.
Could we display it?
Yeah, that's what I was
on the
thinking, a
main-
video.
On the big, because most of the people come in, or especially when they're commenting, they arrive early, and if it's a big topic, we have a full room. if we had it displayed on the
That's
big
what I was
screen in
thinking.
front, that might be helpful, you know, because they're sitting there doing, you know, nothing, they'll probably read it.
Well, probably the most frustrating thing I have, and it's not for the 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock meetings, because public comment can be at the beginning or end.
Right.
I always feel really bad when somebody who I don't know who they are, they write various, or they write that their public comment is on public comment. Well, that's not a business matter coming before this board. And so I feel very unfortunate for that person, because their name doesn't get called. And if they know that only public comment during our business meetings are on the agenda items where this board is taking consent or action, because when they write, oh, I'm commenting on public comment, all right, that's not something you're taking action on.
Well, could we, do you identify that is that something you identify like right before the meeting starts, or is it kind of like as it comes at you?
I identify it as they sign in.
Okay.
And so if somebody writes various, that's why I started to call that gentleman and I said, oh, his statement was various.
I wonder if they
can't
could
call him forward.
I wonder if you could call him up to a staff member, or that person up to a staff member, instead of calling him to the thing, and say, please see here to clarify your comments, and we will circle back to you, so they know they've been acknowledged at least, and we're not trying to skip
That's what
over them.
yeah, you have to acknowledge them somehow.
But it's really difficult because we're not sitting.
Yes, Dr.
This was just what is old business. So if we're gonna put it on an agenda, let's
fair
put it
enough.
on an agenda.
Yeah, we
We
can-
don't need
If
to
you want.
Right, we don't need to
discuss
talk
the
it
whole
all
But
thing
it
right
can
now.
be brought up at a board retreat, and if it is
That's-
in the purview of the
We've got
board, we can
ideas.
move
Let's do
forward
it
that
then.
way.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, I thought today, I had originally on my calendar today that it was a board retreat as well. So I would throw out to the board for consideration that we schedule
Yeah,
a board
September.
retreat. And that this may be something we wanna discuss at that
And we
time.
do, yes, agreed. Okay. Anything else under old business? Hearing none, we'll go on to new business, anyone? Don't have any new business, we're back to public comment. Anybody?
One moment.
Yep. Get back up there, right.
There's no public comment. Yeah, I don't believe there is.
There's no public comment? Okay,
Yeah.
so closing comments, we're moving right along today.
All right.
Go ahead.
No, just again, thank you to all the staff for all your help today, and just very encouraged that we have over 100 teachers that are right across the hall and getting ready to start to educate our wonderful scholars, and just really excited about all of our back to school festivities, so I hope to see everyone there, and that's all I have to say for today.
Ms. John?
Just looking forward to the start of another year. Can't believe we're already here, but yeah, it's gonna be a fun week.
It is. Ms. Hunt?
I'll just also say, I, especially with having an interim superintendent who had her own position before taking this on, I just know how stretched everybody is this time of year, and just thank you on behalf of the community for the hard work that you're all doing. Right now, I know it's taken a team, like a lot of teamwork to get done what needs to get done. So many thanks. I think Will volunteered to come in and help anybody with any extra
Bulletin boards they need to put up.
tasks or whatnot with all his free
What
time.
else are you gonna sign me up for, Sally?
Yeah. No, but truly, like, thank you to everybody. You're appreciated.
Ms. Cobb?
I would just associate myself with all of those comments. I'm excited about tomorrow and serving breakfast and getting a chance to see everybody's face and the kickoff in the auditorium. And appreciate you stepping up and stepping forward and taking Flagler forward. And it's going to be a great year. It's going to be an interesting, challenging, but it's going to be a great year.
It is.
Yes. Flagler Forward starts here. We are all moving forward every day. We are very excited about what's coming. We're gonna work hard with our staff, your staff, to try to make this the best school year we possibly can get. And it is exciting. This is the most exciting part of every, well, the kids aren't really excited about summer ending, but to us, it's really exciting, so are their parents. So I'm looking forward to that. All right.
I do want to make
Go.
one comment, that our 515 is actually downstairs in board chambers. So I wanted to make sure that, I think on the agenda it said that it was in this room, but it is actually in board chambers, and I cannot wait for tomorrow. I hope all of our teachers get a great night's sleep tonight, and we will be together at 7 o'clock with all of our faculty and staff at Flagler Palm High School, and then at 8 o'clock tomorrow we will welcome, and we're taking up almost every seat in that auditorium. It's going to be a great day, and it's going to be a great year. I cannot wait.
Awesome.
All right, with that all being said, I will take the opportunity to adjourn today's meeting. We'll see you at 5:15. Meeting adjourned.